Okay, this is about cash flow. The number one reason why businesses fail. Out of the 8 out of 10 businesses that fail, 82% of them fail because of cash flow. Think about that. So out of the 8 that fail, 6 to 7 of them fail because they run out of money. When it's your money, you have an emotional attachment to the money. When you start actually taking things out of your wallet or your savings or what have you have an emotional attachment, and sometimes people aren't willing to give up as much as they want. So 82% of funds generally come from the entrepreneur's bank account, 401k, or whatever it is. 77% of that money is actually from personal savings from the entrepreneur. Cash flow is your bloodline. It's your biggest risk. You need to know and understand why cash flow is so important and how dangerous cash flow is. So if you got something else going on, or you got the TV on, or you got the kids, put everything away and listen to this one, right? Because if this is the biggest reasons businesses fail, you have to have the strategies to get around this. Very simply, you're balancing your revenue versus your cost, right? Cash coming in versus cash coming out, and the timing of that. Remember, you might have a ton of cash that's supposed to come in, but if too much is going out too early, you're not going to make it. So you're going to have, remember, now right now, you have your monthly bills. Every day, your electric bill comes in, and this bill comes in, and that bill comes in. You know the due dates. You know when your paychecks come in, you get paid on the 15th, or you get paid on the 30th, you get paid monthly. Everything is very rigid. You know, X amount of dollars it costs to live in your house every month, and if you have a little left over, either you go buy something fun, or you save it, or whatever. It's a very, very structured, rigid thing. And sometimes you got to dip in your savings if you got a vacation, or you got a wedding, or your water heater goes out, or something like that. So generally, your cash flow now, when you have a regular job, is very consistent, and you know exactly what's going to happen. You feel good about your personal finances. You know what you're getting every month. You start a business, all of a sudden the paycheck becomes fluid. There's many more issues that come up. There's a lot of things that can positively and negatively affect cash flow every single month when you're in business, especially in the startup mode. You need to learn how to read a cash flow statement, what a cash flow statement is, and how it can affect you every single month. The most important thing you can know about cash flow is, am I spending more than I'm making, and what is the timing of the cash coming in and the timing of the cash going out. There's 2 ways to go out of business. One is not enough business, and the other one is too much business. And we're going to give you some statistics pretty soon and some numbers, just quickly going over a scenario that shows you what can happen as your business starts going. As part of your plan, you need to have money in reserves. You have to understand that things can pop up that you're not going to be aware of, that you're not prepared for. So you're going to have reserve money, okay? Your cash flow plan is based on your forecasted costs versus your forecasted sales. It's that simple. And they need to be accurate. You need to be, again, we keep talking about, be honest with yourself. Don't fluff it. Don't act, oh, I'm going to knock it out of the park. Because remember, too much business can put you under just as fast as not enough business. And you're going to see why in just a minute. 95% of entrepreneurs don't hit their sales forecast. We're optimistic people. We think we can do it. People are going to jump on board. The phone's going to be ringing off the hook. I got the great idea. Life's not that good. Imagine if your paycheck didn't come in on the 15th and the 30th anymore. It came in whenever the checks come in. And just think, what if it was a number that fluctuated and you had really very little control over when those numbers are coming in? Right now you're used to it, your check clears, that's the way it goes. When you start a business, sometimes people pay in 30, sometimes they pay in 60, sometimes pay in 90. I've had people pay me a third. I've had people pay half. I'll get you the next one, so forth, right? Customers don't pay in immediately. That's just the way it is. And if you give them terms even of net 30 or net 60 days, which means they're supposed to pay you on the 30th day past the invoice, life isn't that good either. They will consider writing a check somewhere around the 30th day, and they got to mail it and so forth. So if you think about that, if you got 30-day terms, you don't get your money for 40 or 45 days, that's actually considered a good payer. That's a good payer. You'll love those people. If they don't pay you, then you're in deeper trouble, right? Then you have to sit there and evaluate what's happening. Why isn't this person paying me? And remember, what happens if you send out a product and it doesn't work and the customer wants a refund? They're unhappy. Now, you got to send them their cash back if they paid you, or they're not going to pay you at all, and you already have the investment of whatever you procured to send to them, that you have money out there sitting in no man's land. You're going to ship it back to yourself. What are you going to do? You got to evaluate all those costs. A dispute over the product. Hey, I ordered 12 and I only got 10. Or your supplier, you talk to your shipping people, I shipped 12. No, you only shipped 10. What if the product is defective, right? What if something happens in shipping? The shipping companies, by the way, don't take responsibility for anything. I don't know if anyone's been involved in shipping, but as soon as the customer signs for the product, that's considered it's in good shape. So the customer opens it and everything's broken inside, they're going to call you. You're the one that's going to have to be responsible. Not only do you have a delay in money, but you might have to spend twice as much just to make a customer happy. Let's assume they ordered 5 items, all 5 were broke. You got to send them another 5. Now you go back to your supplier and they say, hey, they weren't broke when they left here. So all of it falls back on you, and you have to remember and think about what is these unexpected consequences that are going to happen when product doesn't go that well. And it happens all the time. Damaged product and shipping happens all the time. What about an unexpected purchase? You need a forklift or a jack or something that help you packaging tape, whatever it is. All of a sudden people want their product packaged differently. You're going to have to invest in that type of equipment. There's other problems. What if your cash is all tied up in inventory and you get a huge order? Well, what are you going to do? If you don't have that particular stuff in inventory and someone orders something else and all your cash is tied up, how are you going to procure those other products to keep your customer happy? If you can't fill a large order, you don't have any backup funds, guess what? That customer goes away. You only get one chance. So you got a lot of risks when you go out there when you're talking about cash flow. You got to capture all your costs. You have to think thoroughly about what all your costs are. Not just the cost of the product, cost of shipping, cost of packaging, cost of warehousing, cost of damages, all those things. You have to realize what could potentially happen to you. Unexpected capital purchases, right? Those happen all the time. All of a sudden this machine went down or something happened or whatever. What if your sales aren't meeting the plan, right? What if you hired people based on your sales plan and you're not meeting your plan? Now all of a sudden you decide, oh my God, do I let these people go? Will they come back? You can't treat people like machinery. You can't just turn them off. Either they're there or they're not. And then what everybody reverts to, I got to lower my sales profit. I got to lower my margin. That is a race to the bottom. That's a race to closure, right? You need to make reasonable money. Otherwise you can't keep the lights on. And you may say, oh, if I just make a little bit here, I make a little bit there, it's better than not making nothing. That is not the road to success. That's the road to failure. You have to protect your margins. You have to sell the value. We have a section on the impact of lowering sales price. Think about that. You're just taking your margin and you're cutting it. Your fixed costs aren't going to change. Your purchase costs aren't going to change. All that stays stable, but now you're squeezing your margins because you're trying to survive or you're trying to grow revenue. It's a recipe for disaster. What about customers that are paying slow? They got 60-day terms, they're paying you in 90. Remember, when you start out, you're normally nothing to your customer. You're not a big player. They're going to pay everybody else and you're last. Get used to it because that's the way it is, especially when you're a startup. You're trying to break into certain accounts, you break in a little bit, you're the last person they're going to pay because you're not that important. There's endless risk to cash flow, and this is a segment that you really need to sink your teeth into. You really need to understand how cash flow kills companies. You got to understand how the impact of your business and cash flow. As we said, 82% of the businesses fail because of cash flow. Now you have to have a high level of understanding. I mean, dig into this segment because this is the one that helps people, makes or breaks them. Let's draw out some numbers so you can understand how important cash flow is. Let's do a quick example. All right, this is just some round numbers just to give you a flavor for what's going on. All right, let's assume you are lucky enough that you started your company January 1st, just for round numbers, and you're selling $25,000 per month, even, and you have a 40% gross profit margin. God bless you if you can get this done, but if you got a 40% gross profit number, let's just say your fixed cost with rent and all the other things, let's just say it's $2,500 a month, just to throw a round number out there. And let's assume your customers pay in 60 days, right on 60 days, which is never going to happen, and your sales are spread evenly across the month. All right, those are all things. In a perfect world with no issues, you need $35,500 in the bank just to handle your payables. This is not paying yourself anything. This is not doing anything out of the ordinary. This is just to handle the payables. And that is if you received a check on the 60th day, which will never happen in a million years. Let's get them more realistic. You got 60-day terms and you're getting your checks in 90 days, right? That is very realistic. So if the customers pay you in 90 days, your cash you need just for your payables is $52,500 or you will go out of business. You need $52,000. Think about that. $35,500 60 days, $52,500 if it happens to go to 90 days. $52,000, you're in 40% margin and you're only selling $25,000 a month. Think about that. You need $52,000. Dan, that is an incredible amount of money. How can that be? How is that possible? We are going to take a more detailed look at simple cash flow and how they work. Remember to include the following when creating your cash flow plan. Tip 2, make sure you personally have clean and good credit. We just told you about a scenario where you sell $25,000 a month at 40% margin. You need $52,500 in the bank, and that's if you don't pay yourself anything. So make sure your personal credit is clean, because you may have to go to a bank, you may have to go other places to get yourself some credit. You don't want to pay 20% interest. You want to pay something that's reasonable, otherwise that'll knock you out. Tip number 3. Be careful with your terms. Remember, terms are only negotiated at the beginning, and then everybody forgets about them. You put them in the system, the accounting people just pay the bills based on the terms. So be very, very careful of giving away terms, especially when you're starting out. You need cash, right? So don't give away free terms. You're going to have to go with industry standard and industry terms and so forth, but make sure you do credit checks. Make sure you are confident that that customer can pay you, otherwise it's a donation. Tip number 4. Now you're paying your bills. Let's ask our vendors for extended terms. It's very, very difficult to do at the beginning. I don't believe I got extended terms till about 6-7 months into my business, and I got about 15 days. Every day helps. But remember, talk to your vendors, talk to your suppliers, see if you can get them to give you 15 days, 30 days, 40, whatever you can get helps your cash flow. Remember, we talked about that one scenario, you got to come up with $52,500. Well, if you can extend the terms a little bit from your vendors, that may drop to 40. Who knows what that would drop to? Tip number 5, stay on top of receivables. Email invoices. They go out the same day, they're there. They don't have to take other days to process, and I lost the mail, or it didn't show up, or whatever it is, right? And then send statements. This is really a gentle way to remind people to pay you. Very, very effective. If you got net 30-day terms on the 28th day, send a statement. Just say, hey, this is a statement of your account. Let people know their bills are due pretty soon. It's very, very soft. It's a very good way to do it, and send it to their accounts payable people. It's very, very effective. I was surprised how effective it was when I did it, but it's very effective. Review your receivables daily. This is your bloodline. A lot of customers don't pay on their own, and especially since you're going to be a small supplier to whoever your customers are or what have you, they're going to be pay you last. I was always told I'm getting paid last when I started my business, and I had to accept it and learn how to deal with it, but make sure you keep an eye on that. Tip number 7, and you really have to evaluate this as a business owner. Do you want to offer 2% net 10 terms, right? So that gives your customer, they're going to pay you $100, only has to pay $98, but he's going to pay you in 10 days. That really helps cash flow, especially if you don't have a lot of access to cash, right? Maybe your credit's not the greatest in the world, and maybe you're kind of piecemealing this thing together. That's a good motivator to get people to pay you early, especially for cash-strong companies. So really think about, but also think about how that's going to affect your bottom line. You just lost 2% profit. So make sure you're able to handle that, but that's a good way to get money going. Remember, 82% of the failed businesses are due to cash flow. Don't start by making mistakes as you go, and then before you know it, it's too late. You're out of money, and you can't pay your bills, and it's over. Remember that the cash flow is the king to getting this thing going. There's nothing more important than cash flow, and that's why 82% of the businesses fail. Thank you.